Today on StockCharts in Focus, we're optimizing your charting process, streamlining your routines using a crucial SharpCharts feature called StyleButtons. Now, if you're not familiar with these, they're going to make it even easier to access your go-to chart templates. We're going to set up your charts with all the indicators and settings and everything that you want to see as a technician, as a trader, as an investor. And then we're going to save those as style buttons on the left side of the screen. Makes it incredibly easy to access your different chart templates as you're going. Now, I'm going to specifically show you how I use this in my own process across different security types, different time frames, different periods. This is one of the most powerful setups that you can add to your SharpCharts workflow. So it's all new. It's all here. It's StockCharts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, StockCharts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into those tools, walk through the features, and ultimately help you get more value out of StockCharts. That's our mission here every Friday up on the channel. My name is Grayson Rose, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. Wonderful as always to be back with you. And again, we've got a great episode this week, really digging into some incredible value adds for StockCharts and specifically for you SharpCharts users. Now, of course, on StockCharts now, we have two different primary charting platforms. We've got our legacy tool, SharpCharts, that we know and love. That is getting a major revamp, and we're actually going to tour some of the new Workbench later on in the show. We also have ACP. That's our interactive advanced charting platform. More dynamic, all-in-one, everything in one location for you. On the show today, we're going to focus on SharpCharts. We like to bounce back and forth between those two platforms, but here at StockCharts, we want to give you as much choice as possible, as many options as possible for charting your way through the markets and using all the different resources that are available to you. So we like to highlight both of these two platforms. Today's show, though, going to be focused on SharpCharts. We are looking specifically at StyleButtons. Now, I always say on this show, I got a lot of favorites. Every week I'm highlighting one favorite feature. I'm talking about another favorite tool the next week. This one, though, I gotta say, that's another one that's at the top of my favorites list. StyleButtons are an incredible workflow booster, a real time saver, as you're gonna see. This is an incredible trick that I like to show people when they are using SharpCharts. It's a little bit overlooked. We are actually gonna be making it even more visible, even easier to access on the new SharpCharts Workbench. It's gonna be coming out later this year. But I want to make sure you're aware of this because it's something that I use every single day without fail, no questions asked. StyleButtons are one of my favorite features and my most used features on the SharpCharts Workbench. So as you might have heard in the open, what StyleButtons allow you to do is switch between chart templates, those collections of different indicators and tools and settings, what we call chart styles, allows you to switch between those, kind of your favorite, your go-tos, your must-uses, allows you to switch between those in just a single click. It's an incredible time saver for the SharpCharts Workbench. So we're going to start by looking at how to set up chart styles, make sure you're familiar with what those are. Then we'll talk about what style buttons are, how to save those, and I'll talk a little bit about how I use them as well. So we got a lot to cover. Let's jump over to the site and get it going. All right, everyone, so here we are on the SharpCharts Workbench. Now, when we say SharpCharts Workbench, we mean this kind of core charting page that you probably know and love and are familiar with. Anytime you enter a ticker symbol at the top of any page around StockCharts, you're going to be taken to what we call the SharpCharts Workbench. That, of course, includes your charts, but it also includes all of the interface around those charts. So everything up above here, your style buttons, the star of today's show over here on the left side of the screen. And then, of course, everything down at the bottom as well, setting up your charts with all the indicators that you want, the overlays, the different size, period, color, all that good stuff that goes into setting up your charts. That's what we call the SharpCharts Workbench. Now, as we mentioned at the end of today's show, we'll actually preview some of the features on the new SharpCharts Workbench. It's going to be coming out later this year. We've released a preview of that you can actually go play around with. So we'll show you that at the end of the show. Today, though, we're looking at chart styles and we're looking specifically at the style buttons. So first and foremost, like I just pointed out, the style buttons are the little tabs over on the left side of the screen. Now, each one can be assigned with a different chart style or a different chart template, if you want to think of them that way. And so when you click on any of these style buttons that you set up, it allows you to very, very quickly jump to that style. We'll show you the importance of that in just a minute. Before we dive into the style buttons, I want to review a little bit, just really briefly, what a chart style is, what a chart template is, how you can save those, and how you can access some of the different little sort of chart style areas around the SharpCharts Workbench. First up, while we are over here, above your style buttons, you'll see a little arrow that points out to the right. When you give that a click, that's actually going to open up a little interactive menu over on the left side of the screen. So this is going to show you all of the chart styles that you have saved to your account. And it's also going to give you access to some of the predefined chart styles that we've created here on the SharpCharts Workbench. So some of the experts that we work with, some common chart styles, those are in here for you as well. To access any of these, all you have to do is give them a quick click. That'll pull up that chart style. Now, like we said, a chart style contains all of the settings for a chart. So it's the size of the chart, it's the period, it's the range of the chart, how many days or weeks or months are on that chart. It's also all of the indicators and the overlays that are on that. So things like the MACD, the RSI, different moving averages. All of that is going to be included in a chart style. So we're going to revisit this menu here on the left in just a minute. But I want to make sure that you're familiar with how to actually create these chart styles and how to access them as well. So the menu that we just showed is one of the ways that you can access your chart styles. We're going to spend a little bit of time working out of that menu today. But the other one is down here below your charts. This little row, a little bit hard to see, but it is very, very powerful. Lots packed into here. This little row that starts with chart styles gives you access to a whole bunch of crucial features. First and foremost, the menu right here, again, allows you to access all of your chart styles in your account. And at the bottom of this menu, we also have the predefined chart styles as well. So definitely get to know this menu. Make sure that you are aware of this chart styles menu right here. That is a very quick way to flip between chart styles. Now, the other controls here allow you to really start to create these chart styles and manage these chart styles. So first thing, you're going to want to define what goes into your chart styles. Now, for us on this show here today, I'm not going to tell you exactly what you want to put on your charts. That is for you to decide as a StockCharts user, depending on the trading style, the time frame, the different sort of technical toolkit that you work with. It's up to you to decide what you're going to create with these chart styles. But anything that you include down here in the chart attributes, overlays, and indicators area, all of these different settings that you use to create your charts here on the SharpCharts Workbench, all of that can be saved as a chart style. So the key here is that it really becomes kind of a template. The only thing that is not saved to a chart style is the actual symbol itself. So all of these settings that you can sort of bundle up, package up, create, and then save as a chart template, it allows you to come back to those settings quickly and easily in the future. So if you are not a current StockCharts member, this is one of the key things that you actually miss. One of the key things that you don't have are chart styles. Every time you come to the SharpCharts Workbench, you have to set up your charts from scratch. You have to manipulate all of these different menus and all the settings and come up with your charts exactly the way that you want them. You kind of have to recreate them from scratch every single time. As a StockCharts member, you can set up your charts using all of these different menus down here, set them up exactly the way that you want them, and then you can look for this little Add New button right here. And you can take all of those different chart styles and save them as a template that you can return to in the future. Now, as you might have just seen, I've actually used this feature up. I've saved all of the chart styles in my account because they're incredibly powerful. Every time I come up with a chart template that I might want to revisit in the future, one of the first things I do is save that as a chart style. So there is an upper limit on it. You can create up to 50 different chart styles in your account. But once you start using this, you'll see the power of it, being able to come back to these different chart templates very, very easily. We'll see that in just a second once we jump over to our style buttons. So just to give you that little refresher, you're going to set up your charts using all of these different menus here, set up those different chart templates that you want to use, and then you're going to add them down here. You're going to hit Add New, save that collection of settings as a chart style. Now you've got a couple of other options in here. Of course, if you come up with one of your favorites and you want that to kind of be your go-to, you can save it as a default right here. If you want to update or replace any existing chart styles from your account, maybe you make some changes to a chart style, you want to go in and save those changes to that existing chart style, you can make those changes down here on the workbench, then hit Replace, and select the one that you want to replace from your account. If you want to edit the properties of an existing chart style, you can select it from the menu right here and then edit those properties, change the name, anything that you want to do there. Of course, you can also delete chart styles out of your account if you want to do that. Now we're going to come back up to this little menu because some of those actions are also repeated in here. So again, this menu on the left gives you access to all of your chart styles. You can quickly click on any of these to jump between styles. You can also edit your chart styles from right within here though. So you just hit this little edit button right up at the top and you'll see that things change a little bit. I can now type into any of these boxes, change the names of anything. I can delete things in here, or if I give something this little check mark, that's going to set it as my default chart style. What we mean by default is when you first come to the workbench, whatever sort of chart template comes up for you when you first come here, that's going to be your default. So for me, the chart that we're looking at right now, which has the full quote at the top, has relative strength up here, a couple of moving averages and volume, this is my default chart. So anytime I come to the workbench, this is going to be the first one that I see. So that's a little refresher on chart styles, kind of what they are, how to save these. Again, a very, very crucial feature. One of the ways that you really make stock charts fly is to come up with your charts, start to create those chart templates that you want to use over and over again. Maybe you want to have a daily and a weekly and a monthly style. Once you create those, save them as a chart style to your account. That's going to allow you to come back to those different chart templates in the future. Now, if you're like me, you got a lot of different chart templates that you might want to use. And so what style buttons allow you to do is move seamlessly between your favorites. Let's open up this menu one more time and take a look at it. So I've got a lot of different chart styles in my account, and some of these are pretty specialized. For instance, I've got a parabolic SAR chart style that shows me just 1 year of candles with the parabolic SAR indicator on it. I've got some other chart styles that are more specialized for, as you can see, different security types. I've got equities, I've got ETFs, I've got indexes, I've got index ETFs, I've got mutual funds. I've got different chart styles for different security types. I also have different chart styles for different time frames. So I have daily period chart styles. I have weekly period chart styles. I've got monthly period chart styles as well, and some intraday chart styles for when I really want to dig into the short-term action. So you can use chart styles for a variety of purposes. Again, security types, time frames, periods, even different sort of specialty styles like what we're showing here that maybe isolate one specific indicator or do some interesting views. For instance, this is what I call a moving average focus chart style. You can see that I've kind of dulled out the price bars, faded those out behind the screen, and I've made the moving averages very bright. So this kind of keeps me focused on those moving averages. So rather than having to create these chart templates every single time I want to use them, you can see that all I have to do is click on one of those saved chart styles to quickly access it. Now, again, I've got 50 chart styles saved in my account. I don't use all of them all the time. Chances are, again, if you're like me, you've got some chart templates in your account that are maybe your go-tos. You've got maybe a favorite daily one and a favorite weekly one, maybe another one for an ETF that you like to use, different chart templates that are sort of your go-tos. So that is exactly what style buttons are meant to help you do. They're meant to help you access your favorite chart templates, the ones that you use most frequently, without having to dig through menus or set up your charts from scratch. So let's take a quick look at how these actually work. And then we'll talk about how to set them up, how to customize your style buttons. Again, style buttons are the ones on the left, these little tabs. And you can see that when I hover over any of these, it shows me the name of the chart style or the chart template that I have assigned to that button. So if I want to get back to the default that we were looking at just a minute ago, you can see that I've set that up as my second style button. If I want to jump quickly to a weekly chart style for stocks, I can quickly do that. I know exactly where that one is. Now, instead of looking at that daily chart over the last year and a half, we're looking at 7.5 years worth of weekly data, as you can see. Uses a similar color scheme, similar kind of indicator setup, but this is now a weekly chart, a longer term view. I've got another weekly chart here for a 15-year instead of 7.5 year. Now we're looking at an ultra long-term 15-year view for that same security for ConocoPhillips. So you can see how quickly it is, quick and easy it is to move between these different chart styles. If I wanted to look at the performance on a percentage basis of ConocoPhillips over the last 1 year, I've got a performance style, as I call it, that shows me the performance, the percentage move on ConocoPhillips over the last 1 year. So I can quickly jump over to that chart style and see that this has moved up 20% over the last 1 year. When I get into, as I mentioned, some of the shorter term kind of analysis, I can jump down to something like a 75-day 1-minute chart. This is something that I use to track kind of money flow on a chart. Takes a second to load there, but a 75-day 1-minute chart. So every single candle, every single bar on here represents 1 minute of trading over the last 75 days. So this is a short-term chart that I like to look at for kind of seeing, when I'm putting on a trade, seeing exactly what's happening on some of the short-term action, some of the money flow, different things like that. So again, I can quickly jump to these favorite chart styles of mine without having to go dig through menus. And I know exactly where these style buttons are. So as I'm going through my analysis, I'm not having to fumble around with anything. I'm not having to fumble around with settings or menus. I know exactly what I want to do. I can get to my daily chart. I can get to my weekly chart. I can get to my intraday charts, and so on and so forth. These style buttons, again, are a huge, huge time saver. Hopefully you can see how easy it is to click between these. Now, I like to use multi-time frame analysis in my approach to the markets. So again, I'm talking a lot about jumping between time periods, thinking about something on a daily chart, daily kind of time period, and then jumping to a longer term view, thinking about it on the weekly, jumping down to the very narrow view, looking at things in the short term. You could also set up your style buttons with different sets of indicators. That's actually something else that I've done with mine. If we open up this menu, you can actually see that I have basically the same chart style, but with 5 different names here, level 0 through 4. What I'd like to do is kind of stay focused on just a specific set of indicators at a time. Now, I've got kind of a priority order. For me, price always comes first. So the first thing that I want to be focused on is price. Second for me is relative strength. I want to find things that are outperforming the market. So my first chart, my level 0 chart, is just price and 2 moving averages. A very, very simple view. I then create kind of a next level up there, which brings in relative strength and volume. So again, a very, very simple chart. Like we showed earlier, this is actually my default. This is kind of my starting place. Rather than having all the indicators that I could ever want on the screen all at once, I like to have this kind of leveling approach, and I use style buttons to make that even easier. So I can then jump up to level 2. Now, if we scroll down this chart, this is going to bring in one additional indicator down at the bottom, the 14-period RSI. The rest of this chart, though, is going to be exactly the same. I've got a level 3 chart that brings in a couple additional indicators, some money flow indicators here with accumulation, distribution, and on-balance volume. And then I've got the scooter line, our StockCharts technical rank, down at the bottom. Finally, I've got my level 4 chart, which brings in some additional relative strength views, not just looking at this stock versus the total market, but also the stock's sector versus the total market, and the stock's industry group versus its sector. So a couple other sort of deeper views of relative strength up here at the top, and then again, those additional indicators down at the bottom. So I've used my style buttons, as you can see here, in a couple of different ways. Again, I've got different security types in here with equity styles. I've got different time periods in here with daily and weekly charts, and also those intraday charts down at the bottom. You can see I've got ETFs and mutual funds in here, that performance view, kind of one specialized one. But I've also built into my style buttons kind of different levels of indicators. So rather than having every single indicator I could ever want on one chart style, I like to kind of break them up, keep my analysis a little bit more focused. If price and relative strength are kind of the two main indicators for me, then I want that to be the starting place. I want to think about price and relative strength first, and I don't want any other indicators to kind of get in the way. Once I've sort of really thought deeply though about the price pattern, the price movement on a specific security, and I've looked at how it's performing relative to the total market, I might want to then bring in a couple additional indicators, and so this leveling system kind of helps me do that. So that's a little bit of the kind of the background on how I use these style buttons. But again, as you can see, it is incredibly easy to move between these different chart templates that are crucial to my process, again, because I've set those up as style buttons. So as I'm going through my analysis, flipping between different securities, I don't have to worry about fumbling with menus, fumbling with settings, customizing everything down here on the bottom of the workbench. All I have to do is say, okay, you know what? I've thought about this from the sort of level 1 equity view. Now I want to jump down maybe to the level 4. Let's think about how this is looking on a longer term kind of weekly view. I'll jump out to the weekly view here. Now we're looking at kind of that intermediate term weekly view, and then I can say, okay, well, I wonder how ConocoPhillips looks with a little bit more context on that weekly chart. Let's jump out to a longer term view, 15 years worth of trading history. Okay, that's interesting. And then once I get down to, what's going on right now? How is this stock trading right now in the very, very short term? I can jump down to either that 75-minute intraday view, again, a very, very narrow time frame, or if I'm actually thinking about putting a trade on for a specific name, I can jump down to a 5-day intraday view that brings in the volume weighted average price, shows a very, very short-term look at how this stock is trading in the near term over the last couple of sessions. So again, a couple of different ways to use these style buttons. Now, with that little background out of the way about what style buttons are, how I use them, why they're important to my process, of course, let's talk about setting them up. And that's a crucial part of starting to use these things. Hopefully, you've seen the power of this now, being able to flip between those different chart templates, chart styles that are crucial to your process. So we're going to open up this menu. We're going to show you the easiest way to set up your style buttons. Now you get up to 12 of these, 12 positions, 12 little slots here for your style buttons. So pick the top 12 styles from your account. Now that is a max. You don't have to use 12. You don't have to pick up to 12. If you only use 2 or 3 styles that are crucial for your process, more power to you. Set those 3 as your style buttons, and you'll be done. You'll be off to the races. You only need to use the number that you need, up to 12. So 12 is a max, but you don't have to use that number at all. Couldn't be easier to set these up. You're going to open up this little menu here on the left, and then you're going to use a little drag and drop functionality to just move these things around. So I've packed up my 12. This is, as we've been reviewing, these are the couple that are saved to my account. But if I want to edit these, all I have to do is come down to the list below, look for this little separator that says buttons and has those 2 little clever arrows here. And if I want to move anything up to be a style button, all I have to do is click and drag it, and you'll see it's going to be positioned exactly where I want it. So if I wanted to take this moving average focus chart and drag this up to be one of my style buttons, all I have to do is click, drag, bring it up above that little separator. You'll see that it's above that separator now. And I can set this down exactly where I want it. Now, if I already have 12, it's going to take the last one in the list and basically kick it out. But as you build your way up to those 12 style buttons, this will just kind of fill in exactly where you drop it. So let's say I drop this here. That's put it down right next to that performance sort of specialty style. And you can see the last one in the list got kicked out because I already had 12. Now, if I want to change this, all I have to do is drag it back out. So let's say, okay, no, I don't want that moving average focus chart in here. I actually want to take that intraday style that I had before and use that one in that last slot. Well, easy to go back to it. I just find that one in the list, drag it back up, and there we go. We're back to our style buttons right there. Now these are kind of auto saved for you, so you don't have to do anything creative or clever or tricky to save these. Once you set them up, they will be saved for you. All you got to do is close that menu back down. You'll see the page refreshes with your new style buttons in place, and you're off to the races. So we're back to having all of our style buttons exactly as we had them originally. So again, style buttons make it very, very easy to move between your favorite chart templates. If you've got a daily and a weekly and a monthly style, different sets of indicators, different security types. Maybe you have one for a stock, one for an ETF, one for an index, and one for a mutual fund, or for commodities or bonds or cryptocurrencies, anything that you're trading. Chart styles can be used for different security types, different time frames, different ranges. Again, this is a good demo of this. This is basically the exact same chart. Here's a 7.5-year weekly chart. And then I've set a chart style that is the exact same set of indicators, but 15 years. So rather than fumbling with different menus, all I have to do is hit that style button and I'm looking at a longer duration chart. Lots and lots and lots of ways to use these chart styles. I'm curious to hear from you guys though. So if you've got creative uses of your chart styles, leave us a comment down in the comments below. Let us know how you're using chart styles. I'd love to hear from you guys what different ways, clever, creative ways you guys have come up with for using this feature on the SharpCharts Workbench here. So these are a couple of the different ways that I'm using it, but it really is a powerful, powerful way to streamline your process. Again, when we're out there in the markets trading or investing, we got a lot to think about. We got a lot to do. We don't want to be worrying about setting up menus or fumbling with indicators and saying, okay, wait, what was that color that I like to use on that indicator, or what was the setting that I like to use on the RSI? I wanted to change it off the 14, but what was the number? No, you don't have to do any of that. Set all that stuff up as a chart style. It'll be easy to come back to in the future. And when any of those chart styles become your favorite, it's easy to set them up as a style buttons. You can get to them exactly when you want them. You got enough going on out there in the markets. You don't need to be worrying about that kind of thing. Just click onto that style button. You'll be right where you want to be. So that's our little background on style buttons and everything here on the SharpCharts Workbench. Really quickly, I want to jump you over to the new Workbench, show you how these are going to look over there. We still got some things coming, so it's not fully complete. The style button interface is actually one of the things that is coming to the new Workbench very, very soon, but we do have some exciting things to show over there. So if you are a StockCharts member, jump over to your dashboard, and in the member tools area, you can get to our new technology previews that we launched a couple of months ago. These are some of the big new features that we're working on, things that are going to be coming out in the next few months, next year or so, depending on the feature. So we're working on some major improvements to SharpCharts, new tools, new features, new indicators, new capabilities, new data. Lots coming to SharpCharts in the next year. But we're also working on a totally new redesigned version of the SharpCharts Workbench. So again, those tools, features, all the kind of interface around your charts that we were taking a look at today, we have a new version of that coming out later this year. We've put this out there though as a preview for you guys to play around with, explore, give us your thoughts and feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you need, all of that good stuff. But it is, I'm actually using this new Workbench a lot in my active process, going through the markets every day, and I'm having a blast with it. I'm finding that it works very, very well for me. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. Another reason to leave us a comment down below. But once you're here on the members dashboard in this member tools area, look for that new SharpCharts Workbench link, give that a click, and that is going to take you right over to the next generation of our SharpCharts Workbench. Again, this is a preview, this is a demo, this is not a full, fully officially released feature. So still something that we are actively working on, but we wanted to get your thoughts on it. We don't want to keep everything, behind closed doors and then just say, hey, it's done, we built it. We want to involve you guys in the process. We want you to let us know what you think. Now, we did spend some time with this a couple of weeks ago reviewing some of the updates, the new things that have rolled out on here. If you're familiar with the existing SharpCharts Workbench, though, this is going to feel very familiar to you, the chart settings area. So again, you can make any changes down here. Those are automatically going to be reflected on your charts right up here. You also have some access, sort of quick access to different crucial features. So things like the chart period, the chart type, the range of the chart, and then this very, very handy little chart settings kind of quick menu. So you can set up different crucial features, some of those check boxes, things like turning on the full quote, turning on log scale versus arithmetic. Some of those things are accessible right up here at the top. One of the things, though, that is on here right now are your style buttons. So we've got some new places, new ways to engage with your chart styles. And again, some of this is coming soon. If we click this little gears icon, you can see we still have some things in the works. But things are going to work pretty similar with a couple little differences. First and foremost, we now have a menu right up at the top above those style buttons. It kind of replaces that pop out from the left. This shows you all of the different chart styles that you have in your account. Very, very quick and easy to access. You don't have to be below the chart. You can actually just open this right up and jump to any of the different chart styles that you have in your account. If you want to edit any of these, you can see those different actions in here. And if you want to make any of these your default, you can use the little star to quickly move your default around. So you can see my default is this one down here, just like we were looking at before on the other workbench. I can see that really easily because it's the one that is starred. So this handy little chart styles menu up at the top, nice and easy, quick access to all of your chart styles. But of course, we also wanted to bring over style buttons, a very, very crucial part of the existing SharpCharts workbench, and that is not going to change with the new one. One of the things that we will be doing, though, is actually expanding the number that you can set. So you can see down here, I actually have a couple of empty style buttons, which I cannot assign at the moment, again, because we still have a couple of things that are going to roll out on here very soon, like we showed with that little gears icon. But this is just to give you guys a sense, we are going to be allowing you to do up to 15 style buttons on here. That number might grow over time. We might make it even higher, but these style buttons are a crucial part of the SharpCharts workflow. So we want to definitely expand the number that you can set. One of the other things that is a little bit of a change is that we actually show you how many you have left. So this will actually kind of fill in as you go. You can see the ones that you have set are dark gray. The ones that you have available are going to be that light gray. And the one that's in use is that blue icon. So as I shift around to these different charts, you can see that little blue icon actually moves around my screen. One thing I got to say that I'm loving about this new workbench is how fast it is. The charts load very, very quickly. Instead of the entire page refreshing, you can see that it's just the chart that refreshes. So very, very nice to see that. But style buttons are available here on the existing SharpCharts workbench and the new SharpCharts preview, in addition to some other new menus, different functionality, and we've got even more coming soon. So if you haven't had a chance to play around with this new SharpCharts workbench, definitely take a little bit of time. Spend some time this weekend. Go explore this. Again, let us know what you think. I have some absolute favorite features of this new workbench. Again, one of those being that chart settings menu up at the top. The other one being this what we're calling kind of the breadcrumbs menu. So you can actually jump into any of your chart lists from your account. Quickly jump over to a chart list and then move through the charts in that list. This basically shows you the chart list that you're on and then the saved charts that you're on. And you can jump between charts very, very easily using these little arrow buttons right here. Even set save charts right from here, delete charts, annotate now available right up at the top. One of the other things I'm loving about this new workbench, the create alert modal. So if you want to create an alert for any symbol that you are charting, you can do that right from the workbench. You don't have to go off to a separate page. Don't have to go dig up the price alert workbench. You can create alerts right from this new workbench. So lots more coming as well. Again, we did an episode on this a couple of weeks ago, so we'll put a link down in the description below if you're interested in checking out that episode. We will make it easy for you to find that, but you can always find it in the Stock Charts and Focus playlist. Again, that was just a couple of weeks ago. So that is going to do it for us on the show today. Digging into style buttons, digging into chart styles, those chart templates. Again, this is one of my favorite things to show people because it is such a powerful workflow booster. This is one of the best ways to streamline your process on SharpCharts. Instead of having to set up those charts from scratch every single time, take those settings that you want, take those indicators and overlays that you want to use on your charts, save them as a chart style. That is the step one of this whole process. But then being able to set those up as those style buttons over on the left side of the screen. Take your favorites, the one that you use most frequently, assign those to those style buttons. It's going to make it even easier to access the chart templates that you want to use. You know, when we think about all the things that are happening out there in the markets, there's so much to distract us. There's so much to keep us, unfocused off of what we really need to stay focused on. And so little things, little kind of hacks like these style buttons make it easier to stay focused on the things that matter, which are your charts. So instead of having to fumble around with menus, you can access your charts in just one click. It's a thing of beauty when you set those things up. Once you start to learn where you've positioned them and everything, it really is an incredible workflow enhancer, a great way to streamline and optimize your process. Something I use every single day without fail. One of my favorite parts of the SharpCharts Workbench. So again, I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. It's been a blast to share this with you, dig into these style buttons, talk about how they can add value to your stock charts process. Remember, we do this show every Friday, digging into the site, talking about tools and features, ways to get more out of StockCharts.com and all of the different things that are available on the platform. So definitely tune in next Friday. Keep an eye out. And remember, we got lots of episodes of this show going back quite a ways up here on our YouTube channel. So dig back through the history. You can always go back and review previous episodes as well to get more out of stock charts. My name is Grayson Rose, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been great to be with you. I'll see you again soon for the next one, but until then, chart on, my friends.